listening to me sometimes. He didn't listen to me all the time, and we went around or two about his hair and all of that kind of stuff. He won the hair battle, but he turned into a great candidate. He was clearly the best candidate in the race. Nutter tried to make it a non-race, and he really gave him a fight for the money. We'll see how it turns out, but either way it turns out, he really gave it a great fight, I believe. So I want to bring up Diop bowling baller.
I think when Chimarenga was talking about how we trained me to keep my message concise, I think he was telling me something about this presentation. So I'm going to be very short and concise. And actually, I got a very hoarse voice from all the campaigning that we've been doing for the last several months. And but I want to again, thank the leadership of Brother Chimarenga Waller, our campaign manager, who really came in a critical point in this campaign. And I definitely want to thank all the comrades who participated in this campaign to elect Wali Diop Rahman. One thing that we always want the people to know is that this is not about getting an individual into City Hall, but it's about building a movement of the people. And through my candidacy for mayor, we can address the conditions and transform the conditions that the masses of people are faced with. So we should see it as a mass movement that has been led up to this point by a real organization. Sister Natasha, who was on the ground with me, and other comrades getting the petition signed. We was stressing. Oh, damn, forgot it. On the train. Yeah, on the train, getting the signatures. And, comrades, Erica, Jeff, who've been, real, just, like a rock in terms of that tactical support. Erica keeping things tight for the committee as the secretary of the committee. Harris on the media work, really pushing. Because a lot of this media coverage wasn't just, because of the potency of the message, but because of real organizational work that we did to make sure that, this campaign is heard through the mainstream media. And that was a political struggle in itself, so I really want to recognize the work that Comrade Harris did on that front. And Comrade Rome, pushing on the education work, and then even opening up other fronts around other critical questions, really important. And, this everybody who participated in this incredible campaign. Chimarenga said a lot in terms of the political significance. One thing that, I found remarkable, because, we say often in the movement that as we begin to change the world and transform the world, we ourselves become transformed. And I think that we all have been impacted by the struggle that we've been involved in to, reach this goal by election. But also, as you, saw in the last several months, there were so many questions. Like, this campaign didn't exist and occur in a vacuum outside of what was going on in the rest of the world. Where there's a real generalized trend of resistance around the world where oppressed people is fighting back against U.S. imperialism, demanding control of their own lives, their own governments. And that has even impacted on what's going on here in the city of Philadelphia, where the masses of people are in motion. We saw early on with the flash mob struggle, which actually kind of really gave the campaign a real platform upon which we could raise up critical issues. Y'all remember how Nutter, came down with that curfew in response to what it was characterized as youth violence and the curfews and whatnot. And, that in itself gave us the ability to intervene and raise up this question of police containment versus economic development in a real serious way. And I think that was one of the first examples in which we saw not only how we was able to organize the people in a certain way, but also how our political line, our position, even impacted on the discussion, the political discussion in the city, where we saw immediately after we intervened saying the solution is not a curfew and locking up the youth, it is economic development. Immediately after that, Republican candidate Karen Brown you know, she at first, when the curfew thing first came out, she had, you know, even a position even further to the right than Nutter did, saying that she would have started the curfew a long time ago. But, you know, after our intervention, we held the march, and, you know, we raised up this critical question. Then all of a sudden, she's against the curfew, and she believes that the solution is economic development, resources for rec centers and all that. And so we've seen how, you know, the bourgeoisie has attempted to co-opt our politics, you know, based on the work that we did. And that's really important, you know what I mean? We've pushed back all these attacks that are being made on the community in a real serious way. And that's how I think part of how we need to understand this campaign. And of course, even with the Occupy Philly struggle and other political phenomenon that occurred here in the city, when we was in the Black is Back March, you know, we really gave a lot of shape and definition to what's going on here in the city and around the world. And that's the power of not of one candidate, but that's the power of the black working class, the African working class, you know, when we are organized in our own interests. So it's been a real humbling experience, a very educational experience. And, you know, before I sit down, I think that one of the most important lessons that I learned in this process is that, you know, neo-colonialism, which is what we would call somebody like Michael Nutter, which is white power and blackface, because that's what he is experiencing a real serious crisis. There was a time when people would have thought that having a black mayor, the first black mayor of Philadelphia, was a good thing. You know, oh, we got Wilson Good. Here come Wilson Good dropping the bomb in the black community. And then here comes John Street, Operation Safe Streets, and all these other reactionary programs. And of course, we see Nutter, you know, cutting the budgets, increasing taxes, stopping frisk. So all of these attacks being made against the black community by a black mayor, you know. And all of this, especially now that we able to really sum it up and help the people understand it's not good enough just to be black, you know, but you have to have a program that speaks to the interests of the black community.
That's right.
And that's, I think, one of the most important things and lessons we was able to really teach the masses. And it's a crisis for this system because they no longer able to just run another and off the strength of their skin color. You know, now they're going to have to do better and really respond to legitimate programs. So like Chimarega said, we're going to have to understand that this is the beginning of a new period of struggle where we raise up the same program that we raised up here, a revolutionary national democratic program. We need to continue to be in the streets pushing for community control of education, community control of police, you know, reparations in the form of economic development, the return of our resources. So these are the same questions that we have to continue to struggle around, and we position ourselves in an even better way now because, you know, before we was NPDOM and the movement in general, and because of, for a lot of reasons, people can't always hear that message when it's in that framework, but, you know, there's a certain air of legitimacy to the electoral process. We still, the movement, you know, I'm still a revolutionary, but I'm also a mayoral candidate, and now the same platform that we've always been raising up is able to be heard in an even clearer way by the masses. And we're in a real position of influence now where people, their ears are open to what we have to say. So we have to take advantage of that and continue to build the movement. And we're going to be in touch with everybody in this room and who we've come in contact with about building an even stronger movement here in Philly. So again, I just want to thank everybody for coming out and for, you know, Supporting the campaign to elect Diop Olubala. I think I can say that now. Diop Olubala.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anybody that's been doing